Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gold standard of spiritual truth spoken in the Vedas, how to connect the jiva, the soul, to the divine. I'm not making this stuff up. This has been there for thousands of years, uncovered pretty much for the most. I'd say in the 60s. And then, it's all written in Sanskrit codes. Isn't it interesting? Deciphered, distributed, landing on our laps. How lucky are we?
Very lucky, very lucky.
I feel very lucky. The world, what the world needs more than anything is direction. You think about that, Prabhu?
I'm with you.
We call each other Prabhu a lot if you're new to the show. Prabhu is a nice way of addressing each other as master. So if I address Kaustubha as Prabhu, the words have some potency, don't they? That's why I don't curse.
Good.
They affect the consciousness. Mm-hmm. So Prabhu, if I address someone as Prabhu, that means if he's my master, I'm the servant. And we're trying to cultivate what we are internally. My ego cultivates something else externally, but I have to cultivate what I am internally, because my internal self is the real self. My external self, that's just a partial reality. It's a sliver, a thin understanding of who I am, myself as Raghunath. We were saying this yesterday in our Ramayana class. We're doing our last one tonight, Kaustubha. We had a week of the Ramayana. Wait, is it the last one today? Is this the fifth one, Mara?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we started on a Sunday, I think. Yeah. So this is our last Ramayana class. Last night was really good. We were talking about how our identities are like, ever get like a World Book Encyclopedia when you were younger? So you have one book. That's your identity as Kaustubha. And each page is like a page in your life telling what you did that day, what you did that day. So you're 56 years old, Kaustubha. So you have like one page describing, so there's a page for every day of your life. 365 times 56, whatever, times 56 years, do the math. And that's like one book of Kaustubha. But you have an identity beyond that book in your last life. You had some other name, you were convinced you were some other being, and that had a whole life. And so those are each a reality. Your reality as Kaustubha is a reality. It's just a partial truth. When we talk about the Vedas, and our Vedic understanding of self, it's all about a very, very broad understanding of our identity. And therefore, what you get a lot, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you get a pushing, a nudging, like a shoving forward to this absolute reality. Other parts of the Vedas don't do that. They say, well, where are you at? How do you want to improve a little? How can you take it up a notch? When we read the Bhagavatam, it's pushing up us to this highest standard. It's a very, very high standard.
It is very
What
high
do you
standard.
think? It's a very high standard. It makes you jump very, very high. Sometimes there's a feeling of I'm falling short. That's understandable if we're jumping high. You're going to fall short sometimes.
Thank you for that, Raghunath. And I want to mention that we talked, yesterday we interviewed Niranjana Swami. We talked about the current situation of the devotee community in Ukraine.
Yes.
And we mentioned that we would get to you a PayPal account if anyone would like to donate. So we've got that now. I didn't get it until this morning. But currently, if you visit our The Wisdom of the Sages Instagram page or Facebook page, you will find that information there. I can even say it right now.
Say it.
It's vrajamohan1008
Can you spell that?
Yeah, that's the PayPal account. VRAJAMOHAN 1008 And this is a husband and wife. I think they're originally from Ukraine, and they live in Chicago. And they created a nonprofit just for food for any, they respond to different global, circumstances for food distribution. And they're channeling funds right on the ground right now, and it's working. That you can't pay. Ukraine's not accepting PayPal right now, so this just simplifies things. Where rather than everyone having to do some kind of bank transfer, people can give PayPal donations to their nonprofit at that PayPal account, and then they're forwarding it in, and it's going right on the ground to the devotees in Ukraine.
Vrajamohan1008 at Gmail is the email address.
Vraja with a V. Yeah.
VRAJAMOHAN 1008.
Correct. At gmail.com.
At Gmail. That's great.
Yeah.
That's the easy way to do it.
Very easy.
I never did. Ever thank Dustin yesterday on the show for doing my hand. Did I even show you my hand tattoo? We got caught up in the serious stuff of the Ukraine, and we didn't talk about the mundane stuff like my hand tattoo.
My hand tattoo.
Like my hand. It's you can't see, but it's the shelter wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to get it for a while, and my old friend Dustin, who is a sweet devotee, and he was. We've been all over India together, me and Dustin, in the old days, and yeah. And I'm wearing his sweatshirt right now, Dead President's Lounge,
All
which Shenanigans wrote me a private message, said, cool sweatshirt. So take that, Mara. Yesterday, Mara and Bobby came over, and I said, isn't this a cool sweatshirt?
You were like, I'm going to get all the Super Soul gear just like this. I'm going
to make a Super Soul sweatshirt that's as cool as this. What do you think of this? And Bobby and Mara just looked at each other, and they were like, no. And I was like, what? You don't think I'm cool?
We actually didn't even say anything, I don't think.
They didn't say anything. They just looked at each other. Am I like this 56-year-old guy who's desperately trying to be 35? Is that what I am to you, Kaustubha?
It doesn't even appear like you're trying to be 35. It appears like you're like I don't know,
insane
hunter guys or something like that, wandering around the woods with a gun, like Elmer Fudd trying to.
You're just a New Yorker, man. Right. Everybody does. Everybody wears these.
All right. Why don't we move on? Why don't we take it out of the mundane, Raghunath, and bring it back to the transcendental?
Well, yes. Well, what kind of nuggety nugget?
You want to do nuggets here? Or should we do an announcement to see if Mayor's got it?
Oh, let's do announcements. Announcements before nuggets. That's a mug.
Announcements before nuggets. Okay. Bruna Kitts, one of our Zoomers, set up she's trying to connect with people who listen to Wisdom of the Sages in Ireland where she lives. So she set up a Wisdom of the Sages Ireland email. If you're in Ireland and you listen to Wisdom of the Sages and want to connect with other listeners, you can email wotsireland@gmail.com. And then also we have a Bhakti recovery group meeting today at 1 p.m. and the last Ramayana class at 7:30 p.m.
So Bruna moved to Ireland from Italy.
Well, she's been in
She's
Ireland.
kind of both. She does both.
She's just wandering. She's a wandering mendicant.
Good.
I need a cat sitter. I'm going to put that out to my Instagram family. I've got the 2 nicest cats you have ever met. They're actually they're wonderful. No dog. If you have a dog, do not consider this a request to you because they don't like dogs, but they are these cats will come up to you. I've never had cats like this. They will lay on your bed and put their arms around your neck and just kiss you and then fall asleep. They're the nicest cats ever. Any cat people out there, dog people need not reply. Any other announcements?
No, we're gonna.
Do we have a
All
guest for Sunday's show?
Oh yeah, we have a great guest. Guess who our guest is, Kaustubha? Malati Devi. Malati,
Excellent.
the Malati.
Confirmed. Huh?
Prabhu. Yeah, Malati confirmed. Malati is like, she's another OG. We've had all the OGs, the original devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement in America. Shama Sundar, Malati. Who else? Mukunda Maharaj. You know, these are like the people who have like started it all. These are the ones who went to England, you know, met the Beatles, popularized the whole, traveled Prabhupada all over India. It's amazing to hear their stories. And we remember her from the old days. We used to see her on the Lower East Side.
That's right.
Remember?
It'll be a great interview. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, we haven't had Guru Das Narayani. Hacked Narayani says.
Okay, let's keep moving forward. Let's keep moving forward.
We're doing good today.
We're 20 minutes in. We haven't even gotten to the nugget yet.
Okay, let's nugget me this.
Yeah.
You read the nugget today, sir.
You sure?
Yes. If
Okay,
I read this, it will be I'll read it in like a Shakespearean.
Okay, that could get a little crazy. This is from the Prophet. We've been talking about the Prophet, right?
Mhm.
Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. You're getting all literary for us right now. It's taking out your pipe. This is about work, you know, because again, that book it has different questions about different fundamental aspects of the human experience, and so the people ask the Prophet, "Tell us about work," okay? And here it comes. But if we hear this, this is really it's amazing because it's you know, and I believe Khalil Gibran did read Bhagavad Gita, but it's you get a really kind of like a karma yoga, bhakti yoga explanation here. This is what he says about work. He says, "You have been told that life is darkness, and in your weariness, you echo what was said by the weary." Right? That's the way a lot of people feel about work, about getting up, going to work. It's just a drudgery, right?
Yep.
And then he goes on, "And I say that life is indeed darkness, save when there is urge." Okay, except when there's some like mission in life, you know, something calling you, right? And he says, "And all urge is blind, save when there's knowledge."
I like that.
That line right there.
Yeah. All urge is blind.
Save when there's knowledge. I mean, you know, the idea of what karma yoga is, it's the combination of knowledge with work, right? So he goes on, but all knowledge is vain, save when there is work, right? So we can't just be armchair philosophers with our philosophy about life, but you have to put it into action in the world, right? And then he goes on, and all work is empty, save when there is love.
Ooh, me like that. You like that, Kaustubha?
I do. And then he goes on,
Damn.
and when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God. Okay, so like you bind yourself to yourself. In other words, you bind your body. Even the word atma, which is used for self or the soul in Sanskrit, it also refers to the mind and it refers to the body. So when he says you bind yourself to yourself, in other words, we were talking about this the other day, aligning the whole thing, aligning the soul with the mind and the body, or really aligning the body and the mind with the soul, with the nature of the soul, right? So when you're working with love, you're actually acting according to the nature of the self, right? But then he goes on. He goes, and what is it to work with love? And now these next statements, they really like capture in a poetic way the idea of how a bhakti yogi makes their entire life an offering, right? So what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were there to wear that cloth. In other words,
Read that again. Read that again.
If you're a weaver, then this is how you think of weaving, right? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. Right? This is what the whole ritual of offering food is all about, right? Offering food to God first. Let me cook this meal as if I were cooking it for my beloved Lord, right? He says, it is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. You put your heart into everything that you do because you're doing it for your beloved, you're doing it for God. And he says, and to know that all, this is nice. So he says, it is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. And it is to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. I don't think that means like ghosts, right? But I think what he's saying, the way that I understand it, it's like all the acharyas, all the great yogis of the past, you're kind of like you're affiliating yourself with them, It's being the parampara, your guru's guru. They're all like, you've connected with them now when you serve in this way.
Beautiful.
I like
That
that
is-
one, huh?
Yeah. I almost busted into, oh, dream weaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
Well, now you did, Raghunath.
What's that?
You said you almost did, saying
Oh, I
now
almost-
you did. I mean, you could have just said, I almost busted into the Dreamweaver song and we could have moved on, but no, you haven't. All right. Anyway, something
You are
from
my
the-
dream
from the
weaver,
prophet.
man.
You are my
you
prophet.
are my dream weaver.
Okay.
You are my prophet.
All right. Thank you. Shall we move on?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yes, moving on. Like to the Bhagavatam, moving on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be a good direction to go.
Namaskrityanam Shaivan Rotamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, one must hold on a second.
Yeah,
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, one must offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloki bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanat Marandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus-like feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Mara?
Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 39.
Should we do a little recap?
Yep.
So, we got some great instructions from Narada to little Dhruva, right?
Little Dhruva.
Little Dhruva was like all upset. He had been mistreated. He was spoken about in a way that was painful. It went straight to the heart, right? And Narada gave him like good instructions about like how to let this stuff go, right? You can be free from misery if you learn to let this stuff go. So I'm trying to help you here, right? So he says you shouldn't be affected by honor and dishonor.
Nope.
He says you should learn to be satisfied by whatever comes by destiny.
Yep.
Right? And he encourages him to adopt the right attitude towards all different varieties of people. Oh, you remember that verse where we were saying, for people that are,
Yeah, I commented on it yesterday in the Ramayan class, actually.
There you go. Okay.
Right?
And I didn't know that.
Yeah, because we were talking about how a senior should treat a junior, and how a junior should treat a senior, and stuff like that. And we were talking about Vibhishan surrendering to Lord Ram. Now, if Lord Ram wasn't Lord Ram, when you have somebody at your feet, so I'll do whatever you want, please forgive me. A materialist will take advantage of that situation. That's why we have fear of leaders. We don't like the concept of bowing down to anybody, right? But when you bow down to the Vaishnavas like embrace you. They bring you closer to their heart. They empower you. So yeah, we were using that to juxtapose materialistic relationships to spiritual relationships.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's a way of saying like developing a disposition where you have no animosity towards anyone, no, whether they're your equal, whether they're your superior or inferior. You know, you there's no room for animosity in any of your relationships. You know, Dhruva was filled with animosity, right, for his stepmother, for his father, maybe probably even towards his stepbrother. You know, it's just burning him up. And Narada gave him a little formula where there's no room for animosity towards anyone. So don't be affected by honor, dishonor. Learn to be satisfied with whatever destiny brings. Develop a mood that has no animosity towards anyone. If you learn this, you can be free from miseries in this world, he says. Right? Great instructions. And
useful, powerful,
life changes, right?
Practical game changers.
Yeah, this is where yoga gets real, right? Otherwise, meditation, all that, it's like you can't really go very deep if you're not satisfied, if you're
angry,
attached, if you're upset,
resentful.
And angry. Yeah, their minds is too clouded. So here was an instructions just how to free your mind from all of that. Now Dhruva responds by saying, these are really good instructions that you're giving, you know, about having this even mind, but for people like me, and he says for people that are affected by happiness and distress, right? We go back and forth. He says these instructions. He calls them durdarshaha. Can you figure that one out, Raghunath? Durdarsha.
Ill vision. Like
or it means difficult to perceive.
Difficult, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Darshan means to see or to, right?
Yeah.
And dur means a negative, problematic. Like Durvas Muni. He's got issues. He gets angry.
He's got issues. Careful.
He's got
some issues.
It means a difficult, like Duryodhan and or Durga. Maybe Durga too probably comes from that too. She gives some pain.
Yeah. So see, he says these instructions for people like me, we're caught up in happiness and distress and the dualities of that. And when you're like that, these instructions are durdarshaha. They're difficult for me to perceive. You know, it sounds good, but I can't really connect with it. He says this is because my nature is a warrior. You know, I've got ego. You know, and he says, and so therefore, when those words were spoken to me, I couldn't just like let him slide. It went right. He says I was wounded right to the heart, and then he expresses his desire. My desire is to surpass all my forefathers, right? I want to surpass them in power. I want to surpass them in opulence. I want to surpass them in respect and prestige. I want a kingdom greater than even my father, my grandfather. You know, I want it all. That's where he's at.
You know what I'm realizing, Prabhu?
What are you realizing?
As like, we have a bag.
A bag?
A toolbox. We got a toolbox.
Is it a bag or a box?
It's a bag box. It's a baggish box. A bag and a box of a treasure trunk.
A trunk
of tools to make people peaceful. We have it if we pick it up and
utilize
it's there in the if we utilize it. It's in the Bhagavatam. You know, I'm with a good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, who's been coming over and doing service and. Just because we're old friends, and he's doing some stuff for us at the farm, and he's going through a super difficult time of his life right now, and he's not a devotee, and but he just loves me, and I love him, and we've been friends since childhood, and you don't know him, but I can when he expresses his pain and anger and resentment. I want to just like embrace him and say, listen, you got to let go of this anger. You got to let go of this pain. You got to forgive. You got to find acceptance here. It's all these, and you can just see his mind. Right. It's just going down all these dead ends.
Hasn't even thought of the possibilities of like Dhruva's like, I get what you're saying, but I wish I could do it. But some people just have never even heard this information or even thought about life this way.
Or you see an Instagram post and it makes sense, but there's an entire system. It's not just like an Instagram post. Yeah, I should be compassionate. It's like a whole system. How you enter into this to make your mind peaceful. And when you see, when we juxtapose all this stuff we're studying and we're struggling with, and we're going through our ups and downs, and then you see someone who's not really part of this community and they're struggling in the material world, and how it's just a maze, like a labyrinth. And then you see also, because he's staying over sometimes, I see the things he's listening to on a regular basis. Yeah. And I have to say, listen, if you really want to get over their pain, you got to stop putting this, listen to politics or something. If you want to be angry and hateful, you listen to politics all day. It's that simple, no matter what side of the fence you're on. And it's like, I don't want, because we're like friends from childhood, I don't want to barge in and tell him how to live. I'll reserve that for everybody else in my life. But I try my best to like give him little seeds of it. But we really have a treasure trunk of things that can heal the mind, which is where all our pain is. We just got to pick up that. We just got to open that trunk.
Open the trunk.
Open the trunk. Take out the tools. Right, Mara? Look at Mara's happy.
Yeah, she's noting it. She's like, that's a nugget right there. That's a takeaway.
Right, she's like a nugget hound. She's always looking for a nugget. She's always looking for a takeaway. Sniffing around for takeaways.
All right. So let's hear how Narada responds, right? Now Dhruva said, great advice, but I can't take it. I'm a Kshatriya. I want it all.
What number are we on?
39.
39. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate towards him. And in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice.
Interesting, though, right? Interesting.
Yeah.
That in one sense, Dhruva just said, I can't take your advice. Now, again, Narada could have become upset. Narada could have said, well, who the hell do you think you are, little kid? I'm like the guru around here, and, But he became, but because Dhruva was honest, he was able to admit his own shortcomings. He was able to do it in a respectful way. The result was that it facilitated that feeling of compassion, rather than anger or any other, mood that might have arisen at that time, which might logically arise at that time. And so he responds with compassion. He's like, wow, what an honest little boy. Okay, he's respectful, he's honest. Let me do all that I can to help him.
And it's another thing about how the guru, and I say this because everybody on the show is explaining what you're learning, most likely to somebody else. You go into the workplace, you say, hey, what do you think? You explain something that you've learned to somebody else. Everybody plays that role to some degree, especially a lot of people are yoga teachers or their parents. And you just have to know Narada's being expert at how much medicine to give. Okay, this medicine's not going to work. He's not going to go home. He's not going to be good. He's going to
reach into the toolbox.
He's going to reach into the toolbox. He needs a lesser dose, right? He needs a different type, a different
tool.
dose,
a different tool.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe a. Okay. Text 40. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother, Suniti, to follow the path of devotional service to the personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord.
Even there, again, now Narada's saying, hey, it's not my instruction. What your mother said, listen to your mother. Right? He's not even saying, listen to me. I noticed when Narendra Swami was speaking yesterday.
Yeah.
He was speaking in a very humble way. Like, he just would not take credit for anything, right? Like,
he wouldn't.
The first thing when he started speaking about like what happened there in the Soviet Union, with the former Soviet Union, the danger and he just said, first of all, he said it was all Prabhupada, right? It was and then like you tried to say, hey, you were really risking everything to go. He's like,
I didn't risk anything.
They
all risk everything.
It was all them. Yeah. Or when he's talking about that community, how beautiful they were and how they serve one another and everything. He said, basically, I'm just there watching it happen. Really, it's because it doesn't happen without someone like him sacrificing their life, and setting the example, and being patient and sharing all the instruction. It's like that man has given so much. He's made an offering of his life. But when it comes to, but he doesn't need, this is where your yoga is getting advanced. So you don't need recognition for it. As a matter of fact, you have no taste for that, because that gets in the way of your spiritual taste, and so you're just like passing that on, quickly as possible, like passing that on, and not trying to. Our problem is we try to, oh, there's flavor there. Let me suck the flavor out of that, right? Someone's giving me some respect. Let me suck the flavor out of that. For someone like that, there's no flavor in that. They actually get more flavor out of glorifying others.
Drop a heart if you like that.
Drop one.
Yeah.
Big one. Okay. So that's what Narada's doing here. He's saying your mother, she was really onto something,
Okay. This is good stuff. Text 41. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right?
Yeah,
Dharma, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, liberation. This is what every Hindu culture says are the four aims of existence, right?
Human life, yeah.
That's, I know that from my taxonomy study.
Okay.
Should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these.
Okay.
So even all of your material desires
Yeah.
will be fulfilled through bhakti.
Better you go that direction.
You don't have to make a separate endeavor. I find that to be true. What do you think? Like everything I want in the material world is satisfied from me being in bhakti yoga. I'm not missing out on something. People think, well, I'm going to be a devotee and then I'm going to miss out on A, B, C, and D. You're not. You get it all back multi times over.
It's a fact.
What am I missing? Mara?
You got a cat that embraces you and kisses you every night when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
You got sheep.
I've got that.
Yeah.
I got my own sheep.
No, it's true. I mean, look, you have a big estate practically there that you live on,
Never needed it. Never asked for it.
But it came to you.
And it might go away at any moment. And you know what? It'll be okay if it goes away. It's whatever Krishna wants.
That's right. It's a fact. It's like sometimes I look at my own lifestyle. I don't have any college education. I don't even have a real job.
What the hell are you doing with your life?
I don't know.
What the hell are you?
Sometimes people ask me, "It's like, how are you getting away with this?" But
You don't
it's,
have a job.
yeah. But
He never works. He never leaves the spot.
No, I leave the spot. But that's the point. Even I travel. Like I travel to Italy. I travel to India. I travel to South America. But I go there for service. But I still get to, to other people. It's like, man, you got like this like lifestyle, and I live in an apartment, on a street in one of the best neighborhoods in New York City. How did I get here? I don't know. It's like it's just Krishna just starts to give you stuff. It's a fact. He will fulfill all your desires. That's my experience.
Sometimes
Even
he takes
just
a few
a little
things away.
He'll take things away too, but then you don't want them anymore. It's a fact. You begin to become satisfied with whatever he gives, and then you find he's given more than I would even ask for or expect. All right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're willing to live simply, If you're just like, you know what, I want to give my life to you, he just starts giving all kinds of things back. I've seen it in so many people's lives. All right, Raghunath.
Magic. I had something really profound to say, and then Mara sent me a private message, and I can't remember it. Forget it.
All right.
Mara.
It's not Mara's fault. She's trying to help Raghunath.
Anyway, it'll come back. It's
Okay.
something about Krishna gives you whatever you. Krishna takes care of all your desires.
Oh, you were thinking of Sudama Brahmana.
I wasn't, but I love that story.
Yeah. Story in Bhagavatam that illustrates that point.
Okay. Alrighty.
42.
42. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan. So, very interesting. This is way, 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 way before Lord Krishna appeared.
True.
And this is Madhuvan. So this is in UP, Uttar Pradesh. This is in Braj. This is one of the forests of Braj.
Yeah.
And Dhruva was there.
He was.
So this land of Braj has been sacred eternally, and very, very old. The Bhagavatam is telling these stories. It was compiled 5,000 years ago, but it's telling stories about millennia ago. So you should go to the forest named Madhuvan and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who always lives there.
Okay, so that's one of our principles powerful principles in practicing bhakti, right? One of the 5 potent forms of devotional services, living in a holy place.
Yep. Text 43, Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna River, which is known as Kalindi.
Kalindi.
Okay, trivia question, Mara, hot seat. Why is the river Yamuna called Kalindi? Put it on the board if you know it. See if you can beat Mara.
Isn't Kalindi the daughter of Kalind?
Yeah.
Mountain?
Yep. Yeah, Kalinda is the mountain in the Himalayas, and she's the daughter. Kalinda is the father. Kalinda Vrinda Banditechi Lokashoka Harineti Pankaji Nikunjabu Vilasani. Okay, that's it. She got it. So she's known as Kalindi.
Okay, so go to the Kalindi River.
What text are we on?
Sit down.
What
Is it
text are we on?
43 now? 43.
43. Go to the Yamuna River, which is known as Kalindi. You should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga. And then, how many people know these who are taking Ashtanga Yoga in New York? What are the regulative principles? And then
I think
get a cup of
I think
coffee.
he means especially the 8 limbs there.
I'm joking.
Right?
I'm joking. And then sit down on your asana, your sitting place, right? And in a calm, quiet and quiet position.
Do you think that's like one of your word nerd things, asana?
Sit down on your. Oh, I never thought about that. Sit on your asana.
Yeah. But you know what I find interesting here beyond that is that so Narada is now instructing Dhruva to perform Ashtanga Yoga, right?
Yeah.
Now, generally, like to perform Ashtanga, it's such a difficult path to still the mind. And this boy's already expressed that I have trouble controlling my mind, right? It was
why did he make him do the harder thing?
It sounds like he's asking him to do the harder one. But it seemed, well, first of all, it was a different age, right? This was like long, long, long ago where this was a more available practice, where everything was different. The world wasn't such a big distraction and people had longer lives and greater powers of concentration and so on. So that's all there. But I think another important thing here is that what he's doing is he's getting him to go to Vrindavan, right? He's getting him to live in a holy place, and he's getting him to worship Krishna. He's going to give more bhakti related instructions. So he's blending bhakti into this side. We see that there's different kind of yogis, and some of them are doing it with materialistic ambitions, right? Like we see later we're going, Ravana or Hiranyakashipu we'll see later on in the Bhagavatam. He does like a practice of Ashtanga Yoga to gain power, right? And that's the kind of thing that Dhruva was thinking I can do. Like I'm determined. If there's one thing I'm determined, right? And Ashtanga Yoga takes an incredible amount of determination. But what Narada is doing is he's blending in aspects of bhakti into that by living in a place related to Krishna's pastimes, right? By the mantra that he's going to give him, by the form of archana seva that he's going to have him do, by this form, he's going to say, and then he's going to give him a meditation. And what's the meditation? It's not some empty meditation. It's a meditation on the form of Lord Vishnu. So he's blending in these very potent spiritual. This is what we need to understand, right? The holy dham, the holy place, that is composed of spiritual energy. It's powerful, right? Same for the mantra, same for the form of God, right? The holy place. All of these are super potent radiators of spiritual energy. He's kind of saying, go there, just go to that place and focus on these things. Do your yoga. You got your determination. Go for it. But he's kind of like blended in these devotional aspects. So even though he's going there with one motive, the devotional, the connection is going to start to, it's going to get in there. It's going to start playing with him. Yeah, it's going to have an effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. 44. After sitting on your seat, practice 3 kinds of breathing exercise. Throw a little pranayama in there.
Secret
And
pranayama.
we're going to take a cold bath, Wim Hof
I mean,
style.
Do you think 3 kinds of breathing just means like, inhale, exhale, and holding it?
And retention.
Kumbhaka, retention. What are they called again? Rachika.
Kumbhak.
Kumbhaka.
And what's the third one?
I
Put it on the board. I can't remember. I'm going to brain freeze right now. Rachika. Purvaka. Rachika. Kumbhaka. Puraka. Thank you. Chapu. Chapu's on it. After sitting on your seat, practice 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life air, the mind, and the senses. All right. So we're controlling the senses from going outside. And what happens then? Then we start to focus on the inside. Right. I've been trying to control the outside my whole life. It never helped me. Now I got to work on what's going on inside. Completely free yourself from all material contamination with great patience. Begin to meditate on the supreme personality of Godhead. So that's where we're going with this whole thing. That's the main thing. Text 45. The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually, right? So you want to meditate? What do you meditate on? Right here, meditators. You want to meditate? We got it for you right here. I'm not making this up. This is in the Bhagavatam. Okay? Don't empty your mind. Empty your mind of the material things. Empty your mind of lust, of passion, of turbo scenarios,
anger,
of revenge, of anger, right?
Yeah, resentment.
Oh my God. Sometimes I hit the pillow and I just got a turbo scenario going on of some type of like just out of control stuff. That's revenge is also a type of meditation. Okay. Lust and sexual escapades. That's also a meditation.
Escapades, yes.
That's also a meditation,
right? Very
eating.
Deep meditation, yeah.
Eating is a type of meditation. Well, am I going to eat tonight? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? That's a type of meditation. Oh, this car I want to get, this car. Now, all these, some of you will like laugh. I'll say, oh, car. Like, who cares about car? You've got your own car. Maybe it's not a car. Maybe it's a vacation, a trip. We're all got some meditation of how I'm going to embrace the material world when in fact we want to embrace God. So then the meditator says, well, I got to empty my mind of all that stuff. Yes, but that's the negative. What's the positive? What do I think about? Well, nothing. You don't think of anything. You empty your mind. You clear the space. No. That's old. Okay, that's the entry level. You got to clear the material. How long do you think you're going to go in this world, people? Right? With an empty mind? You think you're going to get a job with an empty mind? You think you're going to get in a relationship with an empty mind? Do you think you're going to be able to raise your children with an empty mind? No. You have to get your mind on the positive. And what's the positive? Sweet Krishna. Sweet Krishna. And to see sweet Krishna in all our activities. We have to empty the mind of a material relationships, material consciousness, material desires and dreams that are not going to fulfill our heart. Bhakti is the positive.
You know what I think of sometimes, Raghunath? You know when we were kids, like they used to make these pencils. It's just really a wasteful way to make pencils, I think. There's a normal way with the wood and with the graphite in the middle. But they also had these kind of plastic pencils that had like pencil points on the inside, like going through the whole thing, and you take one and push it. Like once you finished one, you'd pull it out and then push it back into the back of the pencil, and it would push out
like a lead pencil, like pencil pens.
Like a mechanical pencil.
Like a mechanical pencil.
No, not like a mechanical pencil. Like these ones. In other words, within the body of the pen were all these little pencil
lead,
tips.
These graphite.
No. You see, I'm not saying that
poles, little mini poles.
No, not the poles. You see, the inside was like little bullets of pencil tips, and
maybe.
all lined up, right? and then you take the one that you just finished. And
there was a
stick it in the
phase
end.
of that for a while, right?
Okay. Okay.
There was a phase that went in there. That was like the erasable. That was like the erasable pen days as well.
Okay.
Remember those?
Did they have that in your school, Maren?
Man, you are squirrel me this, Kaustubha.
Yeah.
It's not a squirrel at all. Because my point is no. Because the point is, you push something out by pushing something in, right? In other words, so you clear the mind of animosity and resentment and anger and all these things by pushing in this meditation, on the form of Lord Vishnu here. So it's in the we were talking about the 12th chapter the other day, 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, but that begins with Arjuna. He's asking Krishna, which is considered to be more perfect? Those that worship you in your form, that serve you, or those that worship your impersonal aspect, the Brahman, the unmanifested.
And what is the answer?
He says, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, the impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is always troublesome.
We're not saying that.
I'm not saying it. Krishna said it.
Krishna's saying it.
And you know what word he uses for troublesome?
Dur.
I think
something with dur.
Is it durlaba? Oh no. He says klesha. He says it's klesha.
It's an
klesha
issue.
adhika tarda. It's very troublesome. He says very troublesome. Klesho dika taras tesham.
You and I should just study Sanskrit. I bet it would make the entire body
show a lot better,
right? It'd make the show a lot better. I should do this. I should get serious.
So he says, for those whose minds are attached, if you do that, you might even come up, we might come up pronouncing some of the words, especially like the names of some of the very important texts, properly.
You might start to get a little wider understanding of the universe.
Different ways to pronounce
different ways people do things in different parts of the country.
Okay. So for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always very difficult for those who are embodied. And then he follows that up by saying, but those who worship me, giving up their activities unto me, just like we're reading from the prophet, right?
It all makes sense.
Connections. Giving up all their activities to me, whether you're weaving, what did he talk? He talked about weaving. He talked about building a house, right? Planting food, reaping food, right? You do it as if it's for your beloved, as if your beloved's going to receive it. So he says, but for those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, right? There's a focus of that meditation. Having fixed their minds upon me, O Arjuna, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. He said, you see, it's important, because sometimes when you make statements like bhakti is easier or bhakti is faster, people say, no, all paths are the same. But right here, Krishna is saying it.
We're not saying it.
I'm not saying it. It's right here in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying it. So we're just presenting what he said,
That's all
and
we have to do.
These are his very
about
words.
it. Yeah. Just think about it. I get it. There's poisonous air in the room. Like that story. I'm not going to tell the story, but that the dryer hose that Tom Essig taped up for me, that the dryer hose, if that's unhooked, that's the dryer of your of your clothes will emit poisonous gases into the air. So imagine if your room, your apartment is filled with poisonous gases. What do? You hold your breath. You hold your breath. You don't want to inhale the poison.
Okay.
But how long can you hold your breath?
How long can you hold the breath? Good point.
Right? You got to get out to Central Park, Kaustubha, and breathe that fresh air.
The old poison air in the house analogy.
The old poison. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do want to hold our breath from the toxic world, but we want to breathe. We want the positive. We just don't want the negation. That's why I'm loving Bhakti.
Okay.
Bhakti's got it all. You like food? We got food. You like good people? We got good people. You like to dance a little? We got dance. You like adventure? We got adventure. We got it all here. It's a complete package.
There you go. And just to make what Krishna said, literally what he says here is not chirat. Na means not, and chirat means after a long time. So in other words, he's saying it doesn't take a long time when you practice this way. He's saying the other practice, it can take forever. It's very troublesome. But with this practice, it doesn't take a long time at all. It's quick. It's faster. So he says, I'm the swift deliverer. Just want to share that.
Swift deliverer of birth and death. Oh my God, it's 6:58, Kaustubha. We're having too much fun.
I'm having
You
fun
want
today.
fun? We got fun.
Well, you know where we go tomorrow? We get into the description. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sleeping
Tomorrow's
Saturday, Q&A day. But and we won't be
Not
here on
Monday.
Monday. Oh man,
Monday,
it'll
I'm
be
on a
like-
plane to India.
Be Tuesday before we get back into it. But we're gonna meditate on the form of Lord. You will be in Vraja. You'll be in that holy place.
And Govardhan Hill. I'm gonna be in a holy place. What did you call it? You said, oh, you had a great
Powerful
word today.
transmitter of spiritual energy or something like that.
Radiator of
Radiator.
spiritual.
It's
I was
radiating.
like, that's a band name. I was like, I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm
We're
not gonna say
radiators.
it.
We're the
I was
radiators
like,
of spiritual
You're like
energy.
radiate. Oh, you're like we're radiators of spiritual energy from Harrisburg.
From Brindavan.
You got to throw in a real mundane name like
Perth
Reading,
Amboy.
Pennsylvania.
From Bayonne.
Bayonne. That's mundane.
Okay.
Secaucus. Ronkonkoma.
Please don't be offended, any people from Perth Amboy.
Oh, I'm from Ronkonkoma. I think Tom Estig's from Ronkonkoma.
Well, you got a terrible hotel over there. I'm just telling you that much, right?
You got a terrible, terrible hotel. All right. All right, Mara,
Takeaways.
Takeaways, please.
give us some takeaway, takeaway hound. Sniff around for takeaways.
Bhagavatam nudges us to the absolute reality.
Weehawken.
Sometimes we fall short when we try to jump high.
Sometimes I feel like a nut. Sometimes I don't. Anyone know that reference?
Yes.
I know.
Write it on the board.
Don't need to know it, though.
Work is empty, save when there is love.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
That's the
that's
prophet.
beautiful.
Align body and mind with the nature of the soul.
There you go.
Let there be no room for animosity in your relationships.
Let there be no... Say that in a Shakespearean way, Raghunath.
We'll say that again. Let there be
no room for animosity in your relationships.
Let there be no room for animosity in your relationships.
I'm picturing you with like one of those, knickers that they wear and the kind of
Tights.
tutu
Tights
thing
and a
and
little
the
puffy
big
at the
fluffy
top.
collar. Yeah.
And a beret with like
Let there be.
with a plume on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a plume.
Need a bloom.
borrowed plume.
Sir Raghu Drake.
That's all right.
We have a treasure trunk of tools to heal the mind.
We have
do.
a treasure trunk of tools.
To heal the mind.
Open the bag box trunk and use the tools.
The bag box.
Lose the taste for respect and praise.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put bhakti first, and whatever you need will follow.
Mm-hmm.
And empty the mind of turbo scenarios, revenge, and espionage, and fill it with sweet Krishna.
Oh,
Counter
yeah.
espionage. What about
I've
Krishna
closed-
giving you everything? We didn't get that one. Krishna just gives you everything.
Krishna gives you whatever you want. Krishna's giving me whatever I want. I've just closed my eyes again and climbed aboard the Dream Weaver train. Driver, take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. Oh, Dream Weaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
Okay.
Oh, Dream Weaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Who was that, Raghu? That's saying that song.
I don't know. Was it like Aerosmith?
No, that was
I don't-
Dream On.
Dream on. I hated them.
I think his name was Gary something.
Gary
or
Wright.
other.
Gary
Gary
Wright.
Wright.
That was Aerosmith.
There you
I
go,
missed
Tom.
rock and roll. I didn't listen to it. I didn't like it. I was in orchestra.
Okay.
I couldn't care less about it until I ran into the Sex Pistols. And that changed my whole life.
And
Thanks,
you
everybody,
probably
for
only
joining
got
us.
there because you didn't become the drum major and you just went into a dark place.
Yes, sir. No, I didn't like it just because I hated rock and roll. I hated rock and roll. I just hated the outfits, hated the hair, hated the drugs, hair bands, hated the tights that men wore.
No,
Anti-tights.
the spandex.
Spandex, hated it. Hated it. Anyway, I was
No
on
room
the
for
straight.
hate, Raghunath.
There's no room for hate. I got over hate. I hated these things, and then I realized gotta love, gotta love. Thanks everybody for joining us. Wisdom of the Sages. What a way to start your morning. We've got everything here. You want information? We've got information. It's not
Tools.
our information. It's the sacred sages of India's Information. Otherworldly
what kind of-
information descending downwards, landing on our lap in Weehawken.
You know,
Secaucus.
Weehawken is in Jersey, or is that Long Island? Long
I don't
Island.
know. I think it's Jersey.
Weehawken.
Well, I think it's.
It's Weehawken.